Hi everybody, this is my deep substrate tank, and I set it up a year and a week ago as an experiment, and I've been waiting for something to happen ever since. So now that we're a little over a year into it, I figure it's a good time to have sort of a recap and a discussion about it. I've talked about this in the past. I long ago gave up waiting for anything to actually happen. I'm not really sure what was supposed to happen, but I was assured that if I set up a tank with a deep substrate like that, I would never look back because it would be the best tank, etc., and so on and so forth. Again, I've never really been 100% sure what was supposed to happen with the deep substrate. My only understanding of having a deep substrate was that you can set up an anoxic environment, or an environment that is very low in oxygen, and then anaerobic bacteria will colonize the anoxic environment, and it will take the nitrate that develops in your water and it will reduce it to nitrogen gas and therefore eliminate the nitrate in your aquarium. So first of all, I see no evidence of that happening. We know that process does happen in nature. That is an actual process that really does happen. But there's still mixed reviews on whether we can establish that process in our aquarium. I've never really found any science that supports that we can establish this sort of denitrification part of the cycle in our aquarium. I've been waiting a year now. I've been waiting over a year now, and I've seen nothing to indicate that the nitrate is being reduced into this tank. Furthermore, even if the nitrate was reduced in this tank, I don't know what purpose that would serve me. When we do water changes, it's not simply to remove nitrate. It's to keep the water well balanced, I'll say. It replenishes your carbonates, it balances out the pH, it tops off your hardness or whatever. It removes any excessive hormones that might be building up from the fish. There's a lot of things that happen over time that our water changes correct for. We don't just do water changes simply to remove nitrate. And therefore, establishing a denitrification cycle simply to remove that nitrate through a chemical process doesn't fundamentally change a whole lot. You still have to get in there and do some tank maintenance, even if you never see any nitrate building up. In fact, using the nitrate as sort of a proxy, it's a nice easy test we can do. And when we see the nitrate is starting to get up there a little bit, we can just use that as sort of a general guideline to know that, well, it's time to do a water change. And we get in there and we do a water change. And so for me, having the nitrate develop in the tank is a good thing because, first of all, it helps my plants grow. It's not harming the fish in any way. And it gives me a good, easy to test for indicator of what's going on in my tank. So having that chemically removed would be detrimental as far as I'm concerned. I don't want the nitrate to just be magicked away out of my tank and just not be in there anymore. And so again, it brings me back to what am I trying to accomplish with all of this deep substrate? I've been told countless things over the years about why it's not working for me. I've tried this before. I've set up other tanks. I never got any luck with them, but I've never let one run for a full year. This is the longest running experiment I've ever done. But when I did it before, I got the exact same results, which was a big fat goose egg. I got nothing. And I was told it was because my sand was too densely packed. I was told it was because my sand wasn't densely packed enough. The water was too deep. The water was too shallow. The water was moving too fast. The water wasn't moving fast enough. I got dozens of reasons why it wasn't working, and I'm sure I'll get lots and lots of explanations as to why after a year I'm still not seeing any change in this aquarium at all. So my thought is, if it's that finicky, if you have to have the exact right kind of sand and you have to have the exact right amount of water flow and the exact right temperature and everything has to be exactly perfect in order for this, after years of waiting for it to finally establish, and then all it does is take the nitrate out of your tank, that seems a little silly to me. I can do a 5-minute water change and remove the nitrate from my tank and be done with it. I do not see the point of establishing this deep substrate. Now, if I was developing a tank that I wanted to have deeply rooted plants in, if I wanted to have lush vegetation in it, if I wanted to have a tank set up so that it was almost self-sustaining, and I wanted it to develop its own sort of natural ecosystem within the tank, then having the deep substrate would be a benefit. I could certainly see having a deep substrate if you were trying to establish a root bed for deep rooting plants, or if you had larger plants in there that needed more space for their roots to burrow down into in order for them to establish and be sort of structurally sound and not just sort of tip over because there's not enough substrate to hold them in place. Those reasons I can certainly see having a deep substrate. I can see allowing the mulm and all that stuff to break down into the substrate to create sort of a pseudo aqua soil and give nutrients to your plants. But as far as simply just having a deep substrate in a mildly planted tank for the purposes of it doing something or whatever, I simply do not know what it is supposed to do. I've never done any kind of test or indicator that shows me anything is happening. I still develop nitrate over time. I still have to do water changes. In fact, we just did a water change today. That is why I'm actually talking about this tank. I got in there and had a look at it, did a water change on it, and then out of curiosity, I went and checked my playlist to see when I set this tank up, and found out it has been exactly a year and a week. And so there you go. After all this time, I'm still not seeing anything that indicates anything is going on in this tank. So there you go. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Tell me what I'm doing wrong and why the substrate isn't right, or that it's too granular, it's not granular enough, or the water's too cold, or whatever. You know, the moon's not in the right phase. I don't know. It's got to be something. I know somebody's going to tell me I'm doing something wrong here. But to me, I think that deep substrate is just a waste of real estate. I could have 4 more inches of water in this tank and have a lot more swimming around room for the fish, and it wouldn't change anything from a water chemistry point of view as far as I can tell. An inch and a half of substrate in the tank would be fine. In fact, if we come over and look at my larger tank, most of my tanks do have a very low amount of substrate. We're up to that sort of black line at the bottom. In fact, you can see that white piece of plastic right there is the liner I put on the bottom glass. So we're probably talking about an inch to an inch and a half of substrate in this tank, and it does just fine. So that's my thoughts on it. I'd be interested to hear yours. By all means, go down in the comment section. Don't forget, I do a live stream every Friday night and Sunday night. If you got any comments, questions, those are good times to hit me up. We can have a little more in-depth discussions rather than just leaving a comment below the video, but certainly leave your comment below the video as well. So thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See you real soon in the next one.